The discovery. The rust-colored dust of Kepler 452 bits swirled around Dr. Ilara Chen's boots as she trudged across the alien landscape. Her breath fogged the inside of her helmet, a constant reminder of the hostile environment surrounding her. The exoplanet, dubbed Earth's cousin centuries ago, had proven to be anything but hospitable. Another day, another desert. Ilara muttered into her comm. "Remind me why we're out here again, Jake." Her partner's chuckle crackled through the radio. "Because, oh brilliant xenorchaeologist, you insisted this godforsaken rock held the key to understanding the precursors. And as your faithful assistant, I'm obligated to follow you into hell itself." Ilara rolled her eyes, but couldn't suppress a grin. Jake Henderson had a way of lightening even the most tedious expeditions. "Your dedication is noted and appreciated. Now keep an eye on those scanner readings. If my calculations are correct, we should be approaching the—" Her words cut off abruptly as the ground beneath her feet shifted. Ilara stumbled, arms windmilling, as she fought to keep her balance. "Jake, are you feeling this?" "Affirmative. Seismic activity off the charts. What the hell is going on?" Before Ilara could respond, a chasm opened up directly in front of her. She scrambled backward, heart pounding as she watched the planet's surface tear itself apart. Dust and debris filled the air, obscuring her vision. "Ilara, status report." Jake's panicked voice cut through the chaos. "I'm okay," she shouted back, coughing as fine particles infiltrated her suit's air filters. "But you're not going to believe what I'm seeing." As the dust began to settle, Ilara found herself staring into a vast underground chamber. And there, nestled in the center like some alien jewel, was a structure that defied explanation. It was roughly cylindrical, perhaps 20 meters tall, with a surface that seemed to shimmer and shift as she watched. Intricate patterns danced across its skin, pulsing with an inner light that hurt her eyes to look at directly. "Jake," Ilara whispered, her voice filled with awe. "I think we just found what we've been looking for. Alert the ship. We're going to need every piece of equipment we've got." The next 48 hours passed in a blur of feverish activity. As news of the discovery spread, the human settlement on Kepler 452 bits exploded into action. Scientists, engineers, and curious onlookers all clamored for a chance to see the alien artifact up close. Ilara stood at the edge of the excavation site, watching as hover cranes carefully lifted the cylinder from its resting place. Despite its size, the object was surprisingly light, almost as if it were hollow. "Any ideas yet?" Jake asked, coming to stand beside her. She shook her head. "Nothing concrete. The material it's made of doesn't match anything in our database. And those energy readings, they're off the charts, but we can't figure out the source." Jake whistled low. "Think it could be a weapon?" "God, I hope not," Ilara replied. "The last thing we need is to give the Galactic Council another reason to mistrust us." As if summoned by her words, a sleek silver ship suddenly appeared in the sky above them. Its design was unmistakably alien, all swooping curves and gleaming surfaces that put human vessels to shame. "Speaking of the Council," Jake muttered, "looks like news travels fast." The alien ship landed with barely a whisper, its hull seeming to absorb the dust kicked up by its descent. A hatch arised open, and out stepped a figure that made Ilara's breath catch in her throat. The alien was tall and slender, with iridescent skin that shimmered like oil on water. 4 arms emerged from its torso, each ending in delicate, multi-jointed fingers. But it was the being's eyes that truly captured attention. 3 of them, arranged in a triangle on its face, each a swirling vortex of color and light. "Greetings, humans." The alien's voice resonated directly in Ilara's mind, bypassing her ears entirely. "I am Ambassador Zixel of the Galactic Council. We have detected an anomalous energy signature emanating from this planet. Explain yourselves immediately." Ilara stepped forward, forcing herself to meet the ambassador's unsettling gaze. "Ambassador, I'm Dr. Ilara Chen, lead xenorchaeologist for the Earth Expansion Initiative. We've discovered an artifact of unknown origin and are in the process of studying it. I assure you, we had no intention of." Silence. Zixal's mental voice boomed, causing Ilara to wince. "You meddle with forces beyond your comprehension. The Council has long suspected that primitive races like yours might stumble upon precursor technology. We are here to confiscate the artifact for the good of the galaxy." Jake bristled at the insult. "Now wait just a minute. You can't just..." But his protest was cut short as more alien ships appeared in the sky. Within moments, the excavation site was swarming with Council peacekeepers, their advanced weaponry trained on the human workers. "This artifact is now under Council jurisdiction," Zixal declared. "Any resistance will be met with force. For your own safety, stand down and prepare for questioning." Ilara's mind raced. Everything they'd worked for, all their dreams of proving humanity's worth to the galactic community, were slipping away. She glanced at the artifact, still suspended from the hover cranes, and made a split-second decision. "Jake," she whispered urgently, "remember that backdoor you installed in the site's shield generator? The one you swore you'd remove." His eyes widened in understanding. "You can't be serious. If we activate it now, it's our only chance," Ilara insisted. "On my mark, drop the shields and fire up the teleporter. We're making a run for it." Before Jake could argue further, Ilara raised her voice. "Ambassador Zixal, with all due respect, this artifact was discovered on a human-controlled world. By galactic law, that makes it our property. We will not simply hand it over without..." She never finished her sentence. In one fluid motion, Ilara slapped the emergency beacon on her wrist. The excavation site's shields flickered and died, and in that moment of confusion, the artifact vanished in a shimmer of teleportation energy. Chaos erupted as the Council forces realized what had happened. But by then, it was too late. The artifact, along with Ilara, Jake, and a handful of other human scientists, had been beamed aboard a waiting stealth ship. As plasma bolts from alien weapons sizzled through the air where they had stood moments before, the human vessel engaged its experimental faster-than-light drive and vanished into the depths of space. Ambassador Zixal's mental scream of rage echoed across the planet's surface. The humans had escaped with the most powerful precursor artifact ever discovered, and in doing so, they had just ignited a galactic controversy that would change the course of history forever. The Council's dilemma. The Galactic Council's central chamber was a marvel of alien architecture, a vast dome of living crystal that pulsed with the combined thoughts and emotions of 100 different species. At its heart stood the speaker's podium, a raised platform where representatives could address the assembled delegates. Today, that podium was occupied by a human for the first time in galactic history. Admiral Helena Graves stood tall, her silver hair pulled back in a severe bun, her weathered face a mask of determination. She gazed out at the sea of alien faces, some humanoid, others utterly bizarre, and fought to keep her voice steady. "Esteemed members of the Council," she began, "I come before you today, not as a supplicant, but as an equal. The artifact my people have recovered is, by all accounts, the most significant archaeological find in millennia. We did not steal it, as some have claimed. We merely protected what is rightfully ours." A chorus of angry mutters rippled through the chamber. Ambassador Zixal, still seething from the humans' escape on Kepler 452 bits, rose to speak. "Rightfully yours." The alien's mental voice dripped with scorn. "You are children playing with forces beyond your comprehension. That artifact is precursor technology, left behind by beings so advanced they make your entire civilization look like a amoeba in comparison. It belongs in the hands of those who can use it responsibly." Admiral Graves narrowed her eyes. "And who decides what constitutes responsible use, Ambassador?" "The Council. The same Council that has systematically excluded humanity from its deliberations for centuries." She tapped a control on her wrist, and a holographic display sprang to life above the podium. It showed the artifact, still pulsing with that strange inner light, surrounded by human scientists hard at work. In the short time we've had to study this technology, we've already made incredible breakthroughs. The energy output alone could revolutionize our understanding of physics, and the data storage capabilities. We believe it may contain the sum total of precursor knowledge. This revelation sent shockwaves through the assembled delegates. The precursors were a mythical race, said to have seeded the galaxy with life eons ago, before vanishing without a trace. If the humans truly had access to their knowledge. Karath, leader of the warlike Vroktar Imperium, slammed a tentacle against his podium. This is unacceptable. If the humans unlock the secrets of precursor weaponry, they could upset the balance of power in the entire galaxy. We must seize the artifact by force if necessary. I concur, chimed in High Matriarch Solvana of the Aetheri Collective. Her voice was melodic, but there was steel beneath the surface. Humanity has not proven itself worthy of such responsibility. They are reckless, unpredictable. Who knows what chaos they might unleash? Admiral Graves felt her temper rising, but forced herself to remain calm. And what of the chaos your own peoples have unleashed? The Vroktar's campaign of conquest in the Orion Arm. The Aetheri's experiments in forced evolution. Every race represented here has blood on its hands. We simply ask for the chance to prove ourselves. She paused, letting her words sink in. Moreover, I would remind the Council that humanity did not go looking for this artifact. It quite literally fell into our laps. Perhaps that is no accident. Perhaps we were meant to find it. This suggestion sparked a new round of heated debate. Some delegates seemed swayed by the Admiral's arguments, while others remained vehemently opposed to human involvement. As the arguments raged on, a small, unassuming figure made its way to the center of the chamber. The noise died down as delegates recognized Archivist Prime Sen, oldest and wisest of the Council's advisors. My friends, Sen's voice was barely above a whisper, yet it carried to every corner of the room. We stand at a crossroads. The emergence of this artifact, and humanity's possession of it, represents a fundamental shift in the galactic order. We cannot simply dismiss their claims out of hand. The ancient being turned its multifaceted eyes towards Admiral Graves. However, neither can we ignore the very real concerns raised by other members of the Council. The power contained within that artifact could reshape or destroy entire civilizations if mishandled. Sen raised a gnarled appendage. Forestalling any interruptions, I propose a compromise. Let the humans continue their research, but under strict Council supervision. A team of our finest scientists and peacekeepers will be dispatched to Earth to monitor the situation. If at any point we deem the humans to be acting irresponsibly, we reserve the right to confiscate the artifact. A murmur of cautious approval rippled through the chamber. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it seemed to address the major concerns on both sides. Admiral Graves considered the proposal carefully. It wasn't ideal. The presence of alien monitors on Earth would be a bitter pill for many humans to swallow. But it was better than outright confiscation, and perhaps, given time, they could prove their worth to the galactic community. On behalf of Earth and her colonies, she said at last, I accept these terms. We welcome the opportunity to work alongside the Council's representatives and share our findings for the benefit of all sentient life. The vote that followed was close, but in the end, Sen's compromise passed by a narrow margin. As the session adjourned, Admiral Graves found herself surrounded by a mix of curious and hostile aliens, all clamoring for more information about the artifact and humanity's plans. She answered their questions as best she could, all the while acutely aware of the enormous responsibility now resting on human shoulders. They had won a reprieve, but the real challenge was just beginning. As she prepared to return to Earth, Admiral Graves received an urgent message from Dr. Chen. The xenorchaeologist's face was pale, her eyes wide with a mixture of excitement and fear. Admiral, Ilara's voice shook slightly. We've made a breakthrough. The artifact. It's not just a repository of knowledge. It's a key to something unimaginably powerful. And I think it's about to activate. Helena Graves felt a chill run down her spine. Whatever happened next would change the course of galactic history forever, and humanity was right at the center of it all. Human ingenuity unleashed. The research facility, deep beneath the Mariana Trench, buzzed with activity. Holographic displays flickered with streams of alien data, while teams of scientists from a dozen different disciplines pored over every inch of the precursor artifact. Dr. Ilara Chen stood at the heart of it all, her eyes darting between multiple screens as she coordinated the efforts of human researchers and their alien counterparts. The council observers hovered nearby, their expressions a mix of curiosity and suspicion. Status report. Admiral Graves' voice crackled over the comm system. Ilara took a deep breath. We're making progress, Admiral. Slow but steady. The encryption on the artifact's data core is unlike anything we've ever seen. It's not just complex, it's adaptive. Every time we think we've cracked it, it changes. Jake Henderson chimed in from his station across the room. It's like the damn thing is alive. And maybe it is, in a way. We've detected quantum fluctuations that suggest some kind of consciousness. One of the alien observers, a towering insectoid being named Vexithra, chittered in agitation. This is most irregular. Perhaps we should suspend research until we can consult with the Council's top xenotechnologists. Ilara bit back, a frustrated retort. The constant second-guessing from their allies was wearing thin. But before she could respond, an alarm blared through the facility. Energy spike, Jake shouted. Off the charts. It's coming from the artifact. The cylindrical object at the center of the room began to pulse with blinding light. Arcs of energy danced across its surface, lashing out to scorch the reinforced walls. Containment field at maximum. Ilara yelled over the cacophony. Everyone stay back. But even as she spoke, she found herself drawn towards the artifact. There was a pattern to the energy discharges, a rhythm that tickled at. Human ingenuity unleashed. The edge of her consciousness. Without fully understanding why, Ilara reached out towards the pulsing light. Dr. Chen, no. Vexthra's multi-tone voice rang out in alarm. But it was too late. As Ilara's fingertips brushed the artifact's surface, a surge of energy coursed through her body. Her mind exploded with information. Countless images, formulas, and concepts flooding her consciousness faster than she could process. And then, as suddenly as it began, the energy surge subsided. The artifact's glow dimmed to a soft pulse, and Ilara found herself on her knees, gasping for breath. Jake was at her side in an instant. Ilara, are you all right? What happened? She looked up at him, her eyes wide with wonder. I understand now. Jake, it's incredible. The artifact, it's not just a key. It's a map. Admiral Graves' voice cut through the chaos. Dr. Chen, report. What exactly do you mean by map? Ilara struggled to her feet, her mind still reeling from the influx of information. It's a map to a network, Admiral. A vast, galaxy-spanning network of precursor technology. Wormhole generators, terraforming engines, even weapons platforms. All of it just waiting to be reactivated. The implications were staggering. With access to such advanced technology, humanity could leap forward centuries, perhaps millennia, in scientific development. But the power it represented also posed an enormous risk. Vexthra and the other alien observers huddled together, speaking in rapid, agitated tones. Finally, the insectoid being turned to address the humans. This changes everything, Vexthra declared. We must inform the Council immediately. Such power cannot be left in the hands of any single species, let alone one as young and untested as humanity. Jake bristled at the implied insult, but Ilara laid a calming hand on his arm. Her mind was racing, piecing together the fragments of knowledge imparted by the artifact. Wait, she said, an idea forming. What if we could use this network to help everyone? Not just humanity, but all the species of the galaxy. Admiral Graves' holographic image flickered to life in the center of the room. Explain, Doctor, what exactly are you proposing? Ilara took a deep breath, organizing her thoughts. The precursor network, it's not just about power or technology. It's about connection. I think they built it as a way to bring different species together, to foster cooperation and understanding. She gestured to the artifact, which now pulsed with a steady, almost soothing rhythm. We could use it to solve some of the biggest problems facing the galaxy. Climate change, resource scarcity, even the threat of cosmic phenomena like gamma-ray bursts or rogue black holes. The room fell silent as everyone contemplated the magnitude of what Ilara was suggesting. It was Admiral Graves who finally broke the silence. It's an ambitious plan, Doctor. But how do we know it will work? And more importantly, how do we convince the Council to let us try? Ilara's eyes gleamed with determination. We show them. We activate a small part of the network, something undeniably beneficial to everyone. And we do it in a way that requires cooperation between species. She turned to Vexthra and the other alien observers. You've seen what we can do. You know the potential we have. Work with us. Help us prove to the Council that humanity deserves a place at the galactic table. For a long moment, the aliens regarded her silently. Then, to everyone's surprise, Vexthra stepped forward. Your species continues to confound us. Dr. Chen, the insectoid said, a hint of admiration creeping into its voice. Very well. We will assist you in this endeavor. But be warned, if at any point we suspect you of misusing this power, we will not hesitate to intervene. Ilara nodded solemnly. Understood. Thank you for your trust. Over the next several days, the research facility became a hive of feverish activity. Human scientists worked alongside their alien counterparts, pooling their knowledge and expertise to unravel the secrets of the precursor network. Ilara barely slept, her mind constantly buzzing with new ideas and revelations. The artifact had given her a glimpse of the precursor's thought processes, their way of looking at the universe. It was simultaneously humbling and exhilarating. Finally, after countless simulations and heated debates, they were ready to attempt their first activation of a precursor installation. The target was a dormant terraforming engine, orbiting a dying star in a remote corner of the galaxy. If successful, they could rejuvenate the star, saving an entire solar system from destruction and providing a new home for millions of displaced refugees from various species. As the activation sequence began, tension in the control room was palpable. Ilara stood before the main console, her fingers dancing across holographic controls as she input the final commands. Energy level stable, Jake reported, his voice tight with concentration. Quantum entanglement established with the target installation. Vexthra and the other alien observers watched intently, their bodies coiled with nervous energy. Initiating activation in 3, 2, 1. Ilara's voice rang out. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, a surge of power coursed through the artifact, and a brilliant beam of energy lanced out into space. On the main view screen, they watched as the distant star began to pulse with renewed vigor. Waves of energy rippled across its surface, reversing the process of stellar decay. It's working, Jake shouted, his professional detachment forgotten in the excitement of the moment. The star's core temperature is stabilizing. Fusion reactions are normalizing. Cheers erupted throughout the control room. Humans embraced their alien counterparts, all previous tensions forgotten in the face of their shared accomplishment. Admiral Graves' hologram appeared, her usually stoic face split by a wide grin. Outstanding work, all of you. The Council has been monitoring the situation, and let's just say they're impressed. Ilara felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had done it. They had proven that humanity could be trusted with precursor technology, that they could use it responsibly for the benefit of all. But even as the celebrations continued around her, a nagging doubt gnawed at the back of her mind. The artifact had shown her more than just the wonders of the precursor network. It had also given her a glimpse of the threats that lurked in the darkness between the stars. threats that made petty interspecies squabbles seem insignificant by comparison. As if sensing her unease, Jake appeared at her side. "Hey, why the long face? We just saved an entire solar system." Ilara forced a smile. "You're right. It's just, there's so much more to do, and I'm not sure we have much time." Before Jake could press her for details, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. The artifact's glow intensified, pulsing with an urgency they hadn't seen before. "What's happening?" Vexthra demanded, mandibles clicking in agitation. Ilara's hands flew across the controls, her eyes widening as she interpreted the data. "It's a distress signal," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "From the edge of the galaxy. Something's coming. Something big." As the implications of her words sank in, a hush fell over the control room. They had unlocked the power of the precursors, but in doing so, they may have inadvertently awakened an ancient enemy. The true test of humanity's worth, and the unity of the galactic community, was about to begin. The battle for survival. The Galactic Council chamber, once a place of measured debate and political maneuvering, had transformed into a war room. Holographic displays flickered with real-time data from the outer reaches of the galaxy, each update more dire than the last. Admiral Helena Graves stood at the center of it all, her weathered face set in grim determination as she addressed the assembled representatives of 100 alien races. "The threat we face is unlike anything our civilizations have encountered," she began, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "The precursor artifact has identified them as the Void Hunters, a species of extragalactic origin with technology far beyond our own." She gestured to a holographic representation of the enemy fleet, a vast swarm of biomechanical ships that seemed to devour light itself. "Their intentions are clear," Graves continued. "Total annihilation of all sentient life in our galaxy. They see us as nothing more than resources to be consumed, fuel for their endless expansion." Murmurs of fear and outrage rippled through the chamber. Karath, the Vraktar representative, slammed a tentacle against his podium. "Then we must strike first," he roared. "Unleash the full might of our combined fleets and crush these invaders before they can gain a foothold." High Matriarch Sylvana of the Aetheri Collective shook her head, her luminescent form flickering with agitation. "Brute force alone will not save us. The Void Hunters' technology is too advanced. We need a strategy, a way to turn their strength against them." As the debate raged on, Dr. Ilara Chen stepped forward. The young synorchaeologist had become humanity's de facto ambassador in the days since the artifact's activation. "If I may," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos, "the precursor network offers us a solution, but it will require something our species have never truly attempted before: total, unequivocal cooperation." Ilara tapped a control on her wrist, and a new hologram sprang to life. It showed a complex web of energy conduits spanning the galaxy, with nexus points at key strategic locations. "The precursors built this network as a defense against exactly this kind of threat," she explained. "But it requires the simultaneous activation of multiple nodes, each attuned to the unique energy signature of a different species." She paused, letting the implications sink in. "In other words, we can only defeat the Void Hunters by working together. Every major race represented in this council will need to play a part." The chamber erupted into a cacophony of voices, some supportive, others skeptical, a few openly hostile to the idea of such close cooperation with other species. Admiral Graves raised her hand for silence. "I understand your reservations," she said. "But the simple truth is this: united we stand a chance of survival. Divided we fall. The choice is yours." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, slowly, representatives began to step forward, pledging their support to the plan. "The Vraktar Imperium stands with humanity," Grath declared, his voice uncharacteristically solemn. "As does the Aetheri Collective," Sylvana added, her form glowing with renewed purpose. One by one, The species of the galaxy set aside centuries of mistrust and rivalry, bound together by the common threat to their existence. As the council session adjourned, Ilara found herself swept up in a whirlwind of activity. There was so much to do, so little time to prepare. The Void Hunters would reach the outer rim of the galaxy in less than a standard week. She was so lost in thought that she nearly collided with Jake as she exited the chamber. "Whoa there, boss," he said, steadying her with a hand on her shoulder. "You okay? You look like you're about to collapse." Ilara managed a weak smile. "I'm fine, just overwhelmed. We're really doing this, aren't we? Saving the galaxy." Jake grinned, his eyes sparkling with a mix of excitement and terror. "Damn right we are. Humanity, fuck yeah, and all that jazz." Despite everything, Ilara found herself laughing. Trust Jake to find humor even in the face of potential extinction. Their moment of levity was interrupted by the arrival of Vexthra, the insectoid alien's carapace gleaming under the chamber's crystalline lights. "Dr. Chen, Mr. Henderson," Vexthra chittered, mandibles clicking in what they had come to recognize as a gesture of respect. "The Council has assigned me to assist in coordinating the defense network activation. Where do we begin?" Ilara took a deep breath, centering herself. "We start by dividing into teams. Jake, I need you to work with the Ethery on calibrating the energy relays. Their natural affinity for quantum fields will be crucial." She turned to Vexthra. "Your people's hive mind architecture is remarkably similar to the precursor network's command structure. I'll need your help interfacing with the central node." As they discussed strategy, a commotion near the chamber entrance caught their attention. A group of aliens parted to reveal a figure Ilara had only seen in historical records: Archivist Prime Sen, oldest and wisest of the Council's advisors. The ancient being glided towards them, its multifaceted eyes gleaming with an inner light. "Young ones." Sen's voice was barely above a whisper, yet it carried easily to their ears. "What you attempt is both noble and desperate. But there is one piece of the puzzle you have yet to consider." Ilara felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean, Archivist Prime?" Ken's form shimmered, and suddenly they were surrounded by a holographic representation of the galaxy. At its center pulsed a point of blinding light. "The heart of the precursor network," Sen explained. "A nexus of unimaginable power, hidden away eons ago to prevent misuse. To fully activate the defense grid, one of you must journey there and awaken it manually." Jake's eyes widened. "But that's right in the path of the Void Hunters. It would be a suicide mission." Sen nodded solemnly. "Indeed. The risk is great, but the reward is the salvation of all sentient life in our galaxy." A heavy silence fell over the group as they contemplated the magnitude of what lay before them. It was Vexthra who finally broke it, his voice filled with a newfound respect. "I believe I speak for all of us when I say we stand ready to make that sacrifice, if necessary." Ilara looked at her companions. Jake, her trusted friend and colleague; Vexthra, once a suspicious observer, now an invaluable ally; and Sen, repository of ancient wisdom. In that moment, she saw not aliens, but fellow sentients united in a common cause. "No," she said firmly. "We do this together, all of us. We'll find a way to activate the Nexus and make it back alive." As if in response to her words, the precursor artifact they had brought with them began to pulse with renewed energy. Streams of data flowed across its surface, coalescing into a clear message. "The way is open. The choice is yours." Ilara squared her shoulders, a plan already forming in her mind. "All right, Heem. Let's save the galaxy." As they rushed off to make preparations, none of them noticed the shadow that detached itself from a darkened corner of the chamber, a figure cloaked in stealth technology far beyond anything the Council races possessed. The Void Hunter infiltrator watched the retreating forms of Ilara and her companions, its cold, alien intelligence analyzing every word, every gesture. Then, silent as death, it slipped away to report to its masters. The battle for the fate of the galaxy was about to begin in earnest, and the enemy already had a head start. A new era dawns. The vastness of space stretched out before them, a canvas of infinite black punctuated by the faint pinpricks of distant stars. But today, that canvas was marred by the approaching swarm of Void Hunter ships, their biomechanical forms blotting out entire constellations as they advanced. Aboard the Earth Alliance flagship, Prometheus, Dr. Elara Chen stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Around her, a motley crew of humans and aliens worked in perfect harmony, each focused on their crucial role in the coming battle. Energy readings from the precursor network are holding steady, Jake reported from his station, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. All nexus points are online and awaiting activation. Vextra chittered in agreement, his compound eyes processing data at an inhuman speed. Galactic defense grid is primed. We await only the activation of the central node. Elara nodded, trying to project a confidence she didn't entirely feel. Status of the strike team. Admiral Graves' voice crackled over the comm. En route to the central nexus. ETA 5 minutes. But Elara, the Void Hunters have detected them. They're diverting a significant portion of their fleet to intercept. A hush fell over the bridge as the implications sank in. If the strike team failed to reach the central node, all their preparations would be for nothing. The galaxy would fall. Elara's mind raced, considering and discarding options at lightning speed. Then her eyes fell on the precursor artifact, still pulsing with that strange, otherworldly energy. "Admiral," she said, her voice steady despite the fear churning in her gut. "I have an idea. It's risky, but it might buy us the time we need." She quickly outlined her plan. It was audacious, borderline insane, and relied heavily on theories about precursor technology that were still largely unproven. But they were out of options. Admiral Graves was silent for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was heavy with the weight of command. "Do it, Doctor, and may whatever gods are out there be with you." Elara turned to her team, seeing the same mix of determination and fear in their eyes that she felt herself. "Jake, Vextra, it's been an honor." Before they could respond, she grabbed the artifact and sprinted towards the teleportation chamber. If her calculations were correct, she had about 30 seconds before. The world dissolved in a flash of blinding light. When Elara's vision cleared, she found herself floating in the void of space, protected only by a shimmering energy field generated by the artifact. And directly ahead of her loomed the central nexus of the precursor network, a massive structure that defied description, its surface alive with pulsing energy and shifting geometric patterns. But between Elara and her goal lay the advancing Void Hunter fleet, thousands of ships, each capable of destroying entire planets, bore down on her position. Elara closed her eyes, reaching out with her mind to the artifact in her hands. In that moment, she felt a connection not just to the precursor technology, but to every sentient being in the galaxy whose fate now rested on her shoulders. "For Earth," she whispered. "For all of us." The artifact flared to life, its energy melding with the central nexus. Suddenly, Elara wasn't just interfacing with the network, she was the network. Her consciousness expanded, encompassing the entire galaxy in a single breathtaking moment of clarity. She saw the Void Hunters for what they truly were, not mindless destroyers, but a species driven by fear and desperation, fleeing the death of their own galaxy. And in that moment of understanding, Elara made a choice. The precursor network activated, not as a weapon, but as a bridge. A bridge between minds, between cultures, between the very fabric of space-time itself. The Void Hunter fleet froze in place as wave after wave of empathy and shared experience washed over them. For the first time in eons, they knew what it was to be part of something greater than themselves. On the bridge of the Prometheus, Jake and Vextra watched in awe as the impossible unfolded before them. The Void Hunter ships began to change, their aggressive biomechanical forms softening, adapting, becoming something new. "By the Hive Mother," Vextra breathed. She's rewriting them at the quantum level, integrating them into the galactic community. Jake could only nod, tears streaming down his face as he witnessed the birth of a new era. Days later, as the dust settled and the full magnitude of what had transpired became clear, the Galactic Council convened once more. But this time, the chamber was different. Representatives of the former Void Hunters stood alongside the other species, their once fearsome forms now a harmonious blend of their old selves and the shared essence of the galactic community. Admiral Graves took the podium, her eyes shining with pride. Today we stand at the dawn of a new age. An age of true cooperation, of understanding across the barriers of biology and culture. And we owe it all to one remarkable individual. All eyes turned to Elara as she stepped forward. The experience had changed her, leaving streaks of silver in her hair and an ageless wisdom in her eyes. But her smile was as warm and human as ever. "I am honored," she began, "but the credit doesn't belong to me alone. It belongs to every being in this galaxy who chose hope over fear, unity over division. We faced our greatest challenge not through force of arms, but through the strength of our combined spirit." She gestured to the assembled representatives, human and alien alike. The precursors left us their legacy not as a weapon, but as a tool to forge connections. To remind us that despite our differences, we are all part of the same cosmic tapestry. As Elara spoke, the precursor artifact pulsed gently in response, its light spreading to encompass the entire chamber. And in that light, the beings of 1,000 worlds saw not strangers or enemies, but family. "The journey ahead will not be easy," Elara continued. "We have much to learn from each other, many challenges yet to face. But together, there is nothing we cannot overcome." She raised her hand, and as one, the assembly rose to their feet. Humans stood tall alongside beings of every shape and form imaginable, united in purpose and spirit. "To the future," Elara declared. "To unity. To life itself." The chamber erupted in a chorus of cheers, roars, and other vocalizations of joy from 100 different species. The sound reverberated through the halls of the Galactic Council and beyond, a symphony of hope echoing across the stars. As the celebration continued around her, Elara's gaze drifted to the viewport and the vast expanse of space beyond. Somewhere out there, she knew, other galaxies awaited, other challenges, other opportunities for connection and growth. But that was a story for another day. For now, it was enough to know that humanity had not only found its place among the stars, but had helped forge a new destiny for all sentient life. The age of isolation was over. The age of unity had begun, and the universe would never be the same.